Droid base, Sith temple, you decide. What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios. Now yesterday, I was racking my brains trying to figure out what I wanted my next video to be as I was working on a secret project, which you'll see at the end of the video. And I looked at my table and I saw the remains of a finished mock that needed to be taken apart, sitting there just staring me down. And I had an idea. Today I'm challenging myself to take the remains of the droid base I built in my classic clone battle video and turn it into an ancient Sith temple. Because who doesn't love the Sith? And I think we can all agree they need a little bit more love and representation in mocks. This mock will also feature an interior and a battle between Jedi, Sith, and their respective soldiers. But that's everything you need to know for now, so don't forget to execute order 66 on that like button, and let's get started. To start, I'm going to finish gutting the mock. There was a landing pad and doorway at one point that needed to go, and I want to have an outcrop or shelf of some kind cut into the rock where the gap in the wall is that will be holding something special. I also have to level out that section and fix the side walls. I'm basically going to build a three-sided box that is open at the front. I broke some of the front wall in accident and need to rebuild it before moving on as well. Now this terrain was great for the style of mock I did in the clone battle vid, but not for the Sith temple. So I'm going to rip up all the little mounds and dirt patches and replace them with more detailed and realistic terrain. Now that the droid base has been stripped away, the Sith temple can be born into existence. I'm going to start at the bottom with the doorway. It will look pretty similar to the last one, but with a bit more pronounced of an arch at the top, because you know, the fancier something is, the bigger the archway the doorway has to have. In the front of the doorway, I'm going to add a large stone slab in the ground made out of tile to welcome in new zealots to the cause, create an imposing entrance of a doorway, or hold outdoor barbecues when the weather is nice.
Where's the steak?
I was going to add dark bluish gray tiles in to frame smaller squares of light bluish gray tile and create a grid pattern, but I forgot about that until the very end, so I settled with adding a single frame around the whole thing. On either side of the doorway, I'm going to add a couple of statues. I knew I couldn't create a Sith temple without them. I'm just going to use minifig statues set on small pedestals, and let me tell you, these minifig scale statues come in clutch for so many different kinds of builds. And if you think these are cool, wait until you see what's coming later. Now it's time to return to the terrain. I'm going to shower on some dark tan tile like you would season a fine steak. Mixed in are some plate to create a base terrain. I'm going to add in some mounds and dirt patches like I said later on. That will create a second layer of detail and help break up the terrain a little bit. But for the most part, this is going to be pretty flat. Above the doorway, I will have a flat shelf that will hold a mighty artifact. But first, I need to put down some plate and put in some support pillars underneath, because this will have to hold a decent amount of weight, and this is also where the interior will be. I'm thinking of some kind of meditation or preparation room for that. Now you'll see what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. I'm lining the plate with flat walls of brick because I want it to look like beings carved away the rock of the cliff to create a smooth flat shelf to hold something very large and important. At the back, I'll add a small stone doorway so that those who want to can walk out to the shelf and survey the surroundings. We all know how much Sith love their morning sunrises. Next in goes a layer of tile, and yep, you guessed it. I'm building an echo-amplifying plateau for Sith to practice their evil laughs. Around the edge of the tile, I put down a row of wedge plates in a somewhat winding, kind of wavy look, kind of like the waves of sand you see in a desert. This will help smooth out the edge of the layer of tile and make it look more realistic. One of the final things to do is finish the terrain by adding in those dirt mounds. I want to make at least a couple of these larger than the last ones. I felt like a bunch of really small ones would look weird. I'll probably add in some plants as well. I have found with terrain, the more you add, the better it looks. Often when building, I think something looks bad, especially with terrain, but as I stick with it and continue to add detail, it improves and I end up with a decent result, even if it wasn't looking like a good plan in the beginning. I almost forgot the meditation chamber. Fixed to the back of the shelf, it will have a simple tiled floor with no designs or artwork other than a couple of things, and some dark bluish gray walls with masonry brick in the middle to add some more texture and detail. Inside, on one end, I will have an altar with Sith artifacts, and on the other side, I will have a little green milk station. Why green milk, you ask? Well, we all remember that one scene. All that's left now is to throw on a roof of plate and tile, and this interior is ready to prepare some Sith for battle. Speaking of Sith, let's talk minifigs. I wanted to include some ancient Republic soldiers, so I'm going to have to make some custom ones out of clones and a bunch of Barriss Offee minifigs. Borrowing the hood, cloak, and arms from her, I'm going to make some mysterious looking warriors. Using one of these custom Jedi bodies I bought from Forest Moon Bricks, I'm going to make a custom Jedi. Over on the dark side of things, I'm pretty pleased with the custom Sith I built using a bunch of Lego accessories. I don't know what minifigs minifigs they belong to originally. And after struggling for way too long, I managed to get the cloak on and finish him. To combat the non-clone troopers, I'm making a couple of Sith temple guards with the laser staffs, very similar to what we see the Magna Guards wielding, and giving them to some repurposed Nazgul minifigs. Here's a look at the Republic forces. I think the not clones turned out pretty good considering they were a last minute inclusion, only using parts I had on hand. On the Sith side, we have my custom Sith with his creepy head. He still needs a name, so if you have an idea for one, let me know down below in the comments. Lastly, it's time to reveal the secret project. A giant statue of a robed knight holding a sword. I got the idea from the giant statue we see in the old Battlefront Renvar map. I have been wanting to practice statue building for some time, but needed something simple yet cool to reference or recreate, and I thought this statue would be a great place to start. All that's left now is to place the minifigs, and then it's go time. Here stands an ancient Sith temple, guarded by loyal servants of the Sith, willing to fight to the death against any who should dare to enter the temple unworthily. The Republic, having learned of its location, sent in a Jedi Master and squads of elite Republic warriors to flush out the zealots and see if perhaps there is a greater evil lying in wait deep at the temple's center. This whole idea came about because I was building the statue. I realized it would be perfect for a Jedi or Sith or just a temple of some kind. And I really enjoyed the process of figuring out how to build a Sith temple into a pre-existing MOC. And I think it fit into the old MOC surprisingly well. Although, if I were to do this again in the future, I would definitely add more of an interior with lots of statues, chambers, and other cool details. Looming over everything, and rightfully so, being the centerpiece, is the giant statue. I'm surprised it turned out as well as it did, this being my first attempt at one, but I like the simple nature of it, even the face. I did use Cube Brick's stunning Darth Malgus MOC as inspiration to see how I could go about building a giant statue body. This is one of the first Sith-centered MOCs I have done, and it has me wanting to do more in the future. Which version of this MOC did you enjoy more, the droid base or the Sith temple? Let me know down below in the comments and I will catch you next time, but until then, happy building.